I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer from Psalm 19. Gracious God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. I wasn't sure what would happen, but I didn't think it would be this. Not like this, not this time anyway. I feel like you do when things just go so differently than you thought they would, that you have to stop everything. Nothing you had on the list is possible now, or at least very little of it. The agenda has now been decided. The death of a path, a loss that is both surprising and not, bringing up a pain that is both familiar and altogether new. A moment that is somehow at the same time alarming and paralyzing, because suddenly the to-do list is different and scary and long and complicated and overwhelming. I didn't think it would be this, not like this, not this time. And you know, for me, when the itinerary has been so dramatically altered by circumstances beyond control, it means I have to stop. And you know me, I have to sit and put my head down and cry. And this week in a series of ugly cries, really. I have learned that for me, if I just don't give into it, something goes wrong with my body, or my eyes start twitching, or I become impatient with people I haven't even met, or I miss important things. Grief looks different for each of us, and I think we can miss it sometimes. For some of us, it shows up with an inability to sleep, or a loss of interest in the things that give us joy, or becoming irritable. But some of us don't start with these things. We start with responding and then later come back to them. Grief shows up in all kinds of ways. On Thursday, I sat next to my friend Marc, a local rabbi here in Boulder who I haven't seen in a few months. Don't worry, Philip, I got my box, you know what I mean? I sat next to Marc and wrapped my arms around him and cried some more. Some in the group have worked together for justice for almost 2 decades, and I'm coming up on 6 years with them. And when you work on making the world better together, you love across all kinds of differences. You become real friends. We were gathered around some tables arranged in a large square for a meeting of local faith leaders dedicated to human dignity, the Clergy Caucus of Together Colorado, an affiliate of Faith in Action, a nationwide faith-based group devoted to community organizing. And Rabbi Marc introduced me to his colleague Rabbi Ruthie, who was just showing up to the group for the first time. It was as big as group as we've had in a while, maybe not even since the before times of the pandemic. We were each asked to share something that we could talk about, but we wouldn't. And we did a few rounds of this exercise, hearing how angry some are, how frustrated some are, how disappointed some are, along with how some others feel a deep sense of despair. Some expressed fear for family members who are hurrying to figure out what is needed in case their marriages become invalid. Many expressed feeling tired, more like a weariness. And I shared what I feel most strongly now, which is grief. I feel grief about more things than I can appropriately say or name here. And I know I'm not alone. I'm grieving about the celebratory chants for cheap gas that would come with these results. Cheap gas in exchange for women's bodily autonomy, ravaging our special wildlands and making friends with dictators. Yay for cheap gas. I'm grieving the truth that we still have a while with this patriarchal paradigm. Last week I said I didn't know if it would be soon or very soon. Definitely not very soon. So it makes some of us feel powerless. I'm grieving the fact that some of the people I love, Some of our people, us, are worried about their spouses and children and other family members. I'm grieving that some of our cries to hear the working class were long ago ignored, getting us into this situation in the first place. I'm grieving the truth of a gap I feel between many I love. As one who left circumstances with limited options, got an education, and built a life beyond financial instability, homophobia, and a few other things. And now I'm what my old school buddies call the elite. And I bet many of you in this room are too. Now that means anyone with a college education, it seems. Now even intellectual pursuits have become politicized. I grieve the truth revealed, soaked in racism and ableism and sexism, and I don't even know what ism it is when a variety of groups are called trash. I grieve that some of us want to ruin the idea of strong public education, the idea of an independent Federal Reserve, the idea of our incredible democratic experiment designed in response to bad kings. Rabbi Marc and Rabbi Ruthie reminded us that in the Jewish tradition, there is the ritual of sitting Shiva, which is first alluded to in the book of Genesis, and what is called in Judaism the Talmud, when Methuselah, the oldest man in the world, was mourned for 7 days prior to the flood. And in Genesis 50, in the Torah portion, Joseph observed a mourning period of 7 days for his father, Jacob. Perhaps there's something primal about needing space to sit with loss when someone dies or a dream dies, and things just go differently when you thought they would, that you have to stop everything. When what is happening isn't at all what we expected or would choose. We need at least a week to do a little more than deal with the new reality, whether that's binge watching something that has nothing to do with the rise of fascists through history, or ugly crying. Some of us gathered here on Wednesday and ate pizza and chips when we lit candles and shared our laments. So I say we get at least 7 days to do nothing but grieve. One person around the table in the clergy gathering shared that they basically ate Doritos for the entire day on Wednesday. Another person shared that they slept. Some people hiked. And some shared how good it felt to lead their usual Wednesday service with boring old ancient liturgy, putting themselves to that instrument that withstands all of time. I do love that within our religious traditions, we have built-in ways to keep going and to not be held back by the hardest things. And there's another marker of grief in the Jewish tradition, and it is called shaloshim, and that's the Hebrew word for 30. So I declare we have 30 days still to let ourselves get our mind around this. A time of transition between being completely enveloped by sadness and the time of beginning to emerge back into the world in some ways, even knowing it won't be like what we imagined. So this means we have until early December to get our bearings, to say goodbye to the old agenda. So let us give each other space to do that differently. But then here's the thing. I don't think we can stay much longer in that place of alarm and being paralyzed and overwhelmed and despairing. It's not good for our bodies or our shared life together. As Rebecca Solnick wrote, you may need to grieve or scream or take time off, but you have a role no matter what. And right now, good friends and good principles are worth gathering in. Remember what you love and what loves you. Remember in this tide of hate what love is. She said the fact that we cannot save everything does not mean we cannot save anything. And everything we can save is worth saving. So first, just like this parable from the Gospel of Mark, as people of faith, we need to give some of what we have to this battle after these 30 days of getting our bearings. This is a time to bring our gifts, to the holy cause, whatever our gift may be. Whatever it is we have to offer, I believe we are duty bound to give something of ourselves to this battle going forward, to this cause of love. As Kathleen Norris points out in Amazing Grace, in the biblical context of this story, to be righteous is to, quote, be willingness to care for the most vulnerable, which in ancient Israel were the orphans, the widows, the aliens, and the poor. So I believe after we grieve, the Spirit is calling each of us to give whatever we can, our time and our treasure, our hope and our refusal to give up, to caring for the most vulnerable, inside and outside of these walls, those who will be hurt the most by what comes next. Second, I think that grief, if we don't acknowledge it, in whatever way we do it, can cause us pain. And we must not carry this pain forever. As EMA shared this week, you got to resurrect the deep pain within you and give it a place that's not within your body. Let it live in art. Let it live in writing. Let it live in music. Let it be devoured by building brightened connections. Your body is not a coffin for pain to be buried in. Last, it might be that in some parts of our lives, it becomes, as Audre Lorde wrote, a war against dehumanization. It could be that our call together is to keep showing up for the dignity of all human beings, which means that we must remember we don't need to be different than we already are. We don't need to have something we don't already. The call is to offer whatever we have in this moment. As Lorde wrote, sometimes we are blessed with being able to choose the time and the arena and the manner of our revolution. But more usually, we must do battle wherever we are standing. So, beloved of God, we are in for something for sure. But now, we give you all permission to hold and be with whatever you are feeling. So let's just take a few moments to turn to each other. What are you feeling? What do you have to give to this next season? How will you let your pain live somewhere other than your body? Okay. I love that Rob just asked for another hour. Clearly, we'll need a lot of space to process. Yes, sir.
In the Bible, doesn't it say, this too shall pass? Yeah, but not good enough.
Amen.
Not good enough.
Beloved of God, maybe we didn't think it would be this, not like this, not this time, not this way. So let us grieve how we need to, and then let us be ready. We didn't choose this time or this arena or this manner for our revolution, but it is here. And God is with us. And we shall hold this space where we all belong. We must do battle as we are, right where we are, wherever it is, right where we are standing. May it be so. Amen.
Greetings to you wherever you are watching this. For those of you whom I have yet to meet in person, I'm Reverend Nicola Marsh, pastor here at Community UCC. And we see that people like you are watching our live stream each week. And because of this, we are excited to be embarking upon an experiment. And we need you. If you are engaging with us regularly, finding meaning in what we are about, we would like to extend a special invitation for you to be among the first CUCC digital disciples. For signing up for just $10 a month, you will receive a t-shirt with the new CUCC logo. And we are also exploring the idea of offering other content to those of you who are part of this new and growing area of digital ministry. Sign up to support us in this new way at cuccboulder.org/support by clicking on the yellow donate tab and noting you are a digital disciple in the instructions. Or as always, we welcome an old-fashioned check mailed to us at CUCC, P.O. Box 3646, Boulder, Colorado 80307. Thank you for being and building beloved community with us, and thank you for your gift, whatever it might be.